So you want to buy an arcade but you don't know which one you want? I'm here to help. Now we're at the arcade now that I have two different systems, so we're going to take a look first at a Jamma board system. Again, a Jamma board system, a lot of people get freaked out. People get scared. They see all these wires and they see all these things, and you need a power supply and you need this, and people get freaked out. This is something where you got to take time. It takes a lot of time, especially with a Jamma board. It takes time to build one of the things and to understand how it works. Now again, as far as a Jamma based system, you do need the arcade buttons. You cannot do a Pandora's box to a Xbox controller. No, it actually needs to be a hardwired button and joystick for the Jamma board. Now, there's really no pros and cons between game systems. Some people say, oh, is this one better than that? Is this one better than that? In reality, the laptops, the computer-based systems are better than the Jamma boards. What I mean by that is basically you have more options. Whereas a Jamma board, you're limited to your options. You could only play arcade games. So it's not really about which one is better, which one is worse, which one is easier, which one is harder. That's also another consideration, that some people want something easy. A Jamma board to me is the easiest thing. It is very simple. When I tell you that you plug in the system, you literally take the plug and plug it in, you can't get any easier than that. Whereas some laptop based, like my system, you need to go into a file, you gotta open up the file, and you gotta go this and you gotta that. You gotta take a couple of steps. So the easiest system is really a Jamma board based system, or even a RetroPie. RetroPie is pretty simple now, where you can kind of plug it in and it'll just kind of boot up. My game case, for example, a laptop based system, you have to start, it's like a computer. You gotta start it up, you gotta load up the program, and then you're ready to play. So you gotta take an extra 2 steps to get a laptop based, computer based system running. Whereas again, a Jamma board, it is ready to go 1, 2, 3, you plug it in and you're playing. So now, for example, if you're looking for the actual arcade gun, you want to play the actual arcade pistol and shoot your screen, you can't run that on a Jamma board style game. For you to run an actual gun like that, you need hyperspin, you need a computer, whether it be a laptop or an actual computer built, you need a computer for that. Whereas if you're saying to yourself, well, you know what, I want to play Mrs. Pac-Man, I want to play Street Fighter, the old school, the arcade classics, just arcades, where I could use either 6 buttons, I could use 2 buttons, 3 buttons, I actually need the joystick, then you could use your Jamma board. Jamma boards come in different varieties. The one behind me right here is a Pandora's Box 4S. Now we're in 2018, so there is a new Pandora's Box called Pandora's Box 5, or even they renamed it as Pandora's Key 5S. There's a lot of different versions, but you have to be careful. Pandora's Box is considered a Jamma board. I'm going to take you into the cabinet. We're going to understand what a Jamma board is and how it works. But basically, a Pandora's Box is a Jamma board. It'll play 7, 8. I've seen 900, which is called a God of Game. 900 in one arcade classics. Basically, again, it's an arcade classic, so you're not going to find Cruisin' World. You're not going to find House of the Dead. You're not going to find the advanced Street Fighter 5. You're not going to find that. You're not going to find Super Nintendo. Jamma boards are not portable at all. You need it in a cabinet. It needs to be screwed, bolted to a wall. You can't move that. So if you're considering portability, you cannot do a Jamma board. You have to do a Raspberry Pi or the laptop-based, computer-based games. I don't want to get too shaky, but we'll do vlog style too on this. Now again, we are running Pandora's Box on this behind me. It is in a old school bomb jack cabinet, so I gutted it. This had originally like a 15-inch screen that was 20, 30 pounds. That thing was heavy. We gutted it. This is where like you could kind of do your arcade project. Some people get scared when they see arcade cabinets. They go, oh my God, it's so much work. Not really. Gutting it is actually pretty fun, but you have to be careful. They're using the old school like tube TV, so you don't want to break that because that'll explode, and you just got to be careful with that. But once you get it gutted, it actually could be a pretty nice arcade in your house. Now again, this right here is a bomb jack. I kept it original. I didn't repaint anything. I didn't do anything to this. The original marquee is up here. The actual glass is there. The only thing I did add to this was a wooden arcade 2-player button setup. In reality, this bomb jack is a metal casing with only 1 joystick and 1 button. So for me to make this work, I had to cut it at the top. So it's almost fully original, but I did put a big hole in this, so it's no longer original. Now again, this cabinet right here is in an actual arcade. This thing is making money for me. So I do have the coin buttons wired and all set and ready to go. Basically, if I wanted to run a button, you'll hear the credits and all that. So this right here is really meant for business use. I am making money off of these things, so this right here is collecting money. The last thing to real quick note about this cabinet itself is that I took out the TV, the original tube TV, and I put in, I think it's a 20 to 22 inch Samsung LED TV. So the graphics on it are pretty good, very bright colors, no need to worry about scan lines on this. Now let's take a look at the back of the cabinet where a lot of people get freaked out. This is the back of the arcade cabinet. Now this is something where a lot of people see this and they get really freaked out. Basically right here we do have our actual Pandoras box. This is a Jamma board. It looks very clean with a little casing, but in reality underneath this is kind of like a motherboard style kind of look. We do have our volume controller, we have our power supply, and we have our LED TV mounted. Now again, with the Jamma board, you're gonna see this a lot. This connector right here, this is where all the wires are, and this is where a lot of people get freaked out. Don't worry about these wires. Some people really get scared with these wires, but in reality, each wire has to go to something. So in reality, there's all these wires. One button is talking to the button one wire is talking to button 2, button 3, joystick left, joystick right, and all that. This right here also, Jamma boards normally need a external audio device to make the sound come out of the speakers. So this arcade, I am running an external audio device. Now I could have used the TV audio because this is connected via HDMI. And I have a game playing. So I am able to use the speakers inside the TV, but I do also have this connected to a power amp to have audio go through the speakers that are located above the marquee. And this lastly is your power supply. This right here basically powers all my LEDs. It powers up the Jamma board and it powers up the amp. This does not power my TV. Basically we're running a main power with the switch. It goes right up to this this power outlet that I put up here. Basically this is for the TV, but within this same wire here, it branches out to talk into the power supply. This power supply right here is the original bomb jack power supply. I didn't want to get rid of it because it did work, but I like everything new, so we went with new power supplies, but I didn't want to touch this, so we left it in case I ever want to resell the cabinet. Now again, don't let all this wire scare you. It's not that bad, especially if you know what wire goes to what, which is located inside the manuals of these Jamma boards. They'll tell you everything. Again, you're going to see a lot of different wires. I even have wires still from the old bomb jack setup. Don't be freaked out. These wires right here, basically, I could tell because it's going up into the marquee area. This right here is basically powering my speakers and the LED light strip to power up the marquee. Now I do have this one set up to receive credits as far as money. I don't have it set to free play. You can set your Jamma boards up as free play, but this one again is an actual arcade, so we are making money off of this thing. Basically with the credit loaded, we could pick a lot of different options and a lot of different games. This Pandoras box has 680 games. I believe the newest one has about $9.99, I think it is, or 800 something. So again, this is a old version. This again is a Pandoras box 4S. Even if you do a 5S, it's the same setup, Jamma boards and all that. These are your arcade controllers. Basically it's 6 buttons for player 1, 6 buttons for player 2, and I'm not going to take this apart, but basically all the wiring is there. Since we have a credit, we might as well load up one game. Any game we want. We'll do King of Fighters. Now I only have 1 credit, so I can only do 1 player. And there you go, you're ready to play. Very simple, very basic. The thing I want to mention about these arcade cabinets, the actual cabinet itself, is you have to take into consideration what you want your cabinet to look like. This right here is beat up. This originally is probably a Tempest, I think somebody told me, something like that. It was an actual cabinet that was converted into bomb jack. I don't know, there's a lot of history to it, which is pretty cool, but this right here, as you can see, there's no artwork on this. I could go about and get the actual artwork and put it on, but this kind of gets beaten up. You can see all the scratch marks on this and all that. The marquee was big. I left the marquee alone, so we didn't change that, but it does have a couple of imperfections on it. And as you can see, my side art is, there is no side art. So that's one thing you have to keep in mind when you want to actually build a cabinet. Are you looking for an actual beautiful cabinet? Are you okay with a black one? Are you going to do some of your own decals? That's something where you actually get into the actual physical building part of it. But again, right now we're focusing on software, we're focusing on systems itself.